Hi there, and welcome to The Daily Gardener, an almanac of garden history, literature, and small botanical joys. I'm Jennifer Ebling, and today is August 11th. Sometimes it feels like August is more work than spring. I know. Spring is supposed to be the wild season, the seed starting, shed organizing, where did I put my trowel season? But spring is fueled by hope, and that makes a wheelbarrow light. If spring is sprinting, August is endurance. Every weed pulled right now, in August, is 100 weeds I don't fight next May. A single dandelion throws 150 seeds. And a mature forget-me-not can do the same. A single lamb's quarter plant can generate 70,000 seeds, and that'll all nestle in the soil and greet me next spring if I don't take care of it in August. And yes, I still walk past a weed and tell myself I'll get to it later. I just did it this morning. But in the back of my mind, every time I make that choice, I know that I'm signing a contract that essentially says, I, undersigned gardener, agree to let you drop your seeds and agree to pay for that decision on an amortized schedule starting next May and every May after that one. It's sobering, isn't it? And that's why tomorrow I'll be out before the sun finds me, spending time weeding one spot at a time. Then I'll go inside and let the garden be for the rest of the day. Here's today's garden history. It was on this day in 1729 that the French poet Ponce-Denis Écouchard Lebrun was born in Paris. He imitated the Greek poet Pindar when he wrote his grand odes, and Pindar became his nickname. Today, most of his longer poems are forgotten, but his epigrams, his 2- and 4-line jabs, are still with us. He turned out over 600 of them, and one of them is the line gardeners love, and they have no idea he wrote it. He said, "The butterfly is a flying flower, the flower a tethered butterfly." Pindar Lebrun once denounced women writers. He also had a terrible temper. In 1774, his wife sued him for a separation, and his mother and sister took her side. And it was on this day in 1819 that the American painter Martin Johnson Heade was born in Lumberville, Pennsylvania. He painted salt marshes for years without much notice. But then, at 43, he went to Brazil and came home and started painting hummingbirds set against orchids and passion flowers. When he married at 63, he moved to St. Augustine, Florida, and started painting magnolia blossoms laid out on velvet. He said, "I find landscape painting not so easy as I supposed, for I have to broil under an umbrella half a day at sitting, and the hottest, sunniest days are best." Martin Heade died in 1904, mostly forgotten. But nearly a century later, in 1999, a man discovered that the painting he used to cover a hole in his wall was actually a Heade masterpiece, a magnolia painting no one knew existed. Today it hangs in the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston after they paid $1.25 million for it. And it was on this day in 1897 that the English children's writer Enid Blyton was born in East Dulwich in South London. In 1929, she and her husband moved to Old Thatch, a 16th century thatched cottage in Buckinghamshire with 2 acres of garden running down to the Thames. She said it looked like a house in a fairy tale. Enid wrote hundreds of books, including stories about fairies and nature. Then, in 1963, libraries started banning them. 7 London libraries first, then Nottingham, Kent, then Australia and New Zealand. One librarian said her books were sloppily written and did nothing for a child's imagination. Enid said the real reason was that she was too popular. But the books nobody argued about were the ones she wrote about flowers. In one of her nature books for children, she said, "It is a curious thing that the biggest trees seem to have the smallest flowers. The oak, for instance, has very tiny flowers, and so has the beech. Smaller trees often have big or showy flowers. The laburnum, the hawthorn, the apple, and the pear." It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, The Nature of Decorating by Jenny Rose Ennis. Jenny Rose Ennis was born in South Africa, and she moved to Australia in 2005. She's never been formally trained in gardens or interiors. She just kept doing both, and she got very good at it. Her first 2 books were about other people's houses. Australian Designers at Home came first, and then British Designers at Home, and both of them did well. So for the 3rd book, she turned around and pointed the camera at her own place, her house and her garden together, photographed as one thing. And that's the whole argument here. Jenny doesn't treat the garden as the pretty part outside the window, and she doesn't treat the room as the part that matters. She works on both at once, and she lets each one decide the other. And nature got the first vote on nearly every decision she made. In the introduction, Jenny Rose Ennis said, "Gardens and interiors and their design are my 2 great loves." There are other houses in the book too, Butter Wakefield's, Kath Kidston's, Sean Anthony Pritchard's. But it's Jenny's house that carries it. Because when you look at her house, you get to watch her deciding. And every choice she made indoors was made by standing at a window, looking out. The Nature of Decorating by Jenny Rose Ennis is for the gardener who keeps carrying cuttings into the house. And finally, here's something sweet to ignite the little botanic spark in your heart. It was on this day in 1833 that the Scottish gardener Andrew Pettigrew was born in Ayrshire, Scotland. His father was a shoemaker, but Andrew didn't follow in his footsteps and went into gardens instead. He started out as a garden boy at 12. But by the time he was 40, Andrew was the head gardener at the Marquis of Bute, who, at the time, was said to be the richest man in the world, and who desperately wanted the one thing he didn't have, a working vineyard. At the time, there was no commercial vineyard anywhere in Britain. And while the old monasteries had once made wine, the pursuit had largely been abandoned. Andrew was sent to France to walk the vineyards and learn the work, which he did, even though he could not speak French. He learned by watching. After he returned home in the spring of 1875, Andrew planted 2,000 grapes on a south-facing slope north of Cardiff. People took notice, and the papers had a wonderful time poking fun at the entire endeavor. Punch predicted that if wine was indeed ever made at Cardiff, it would take 4 men to drink it, 2 to hold the victim, and another to pour it down his throat. Despite the doubters, Andrew's vines did grow, but growing vines was never the trouble. 9 years in, with exactly 1 good harvest to show for it, Andrew stood in front of the Cardiff naturalists and said, "The absence of sun heat has prevented the development or ripening of the fruit." For his part, Lord Bute remained undeterred. Soon he had Andrew plant 5 more acres at Swanbridge and a small vineyard out near Cowbridge. The wind took that one almost immediately. The best crop finally came in 18 years after Andrew first put vines in the ground. The following spring, he told the Royal Horticultural Society that if he could count on more seasons like that one, Lord Bute's experiment would start a profitable business. But even with the best harvest ever, wine wasn't in the cards. The sugars were too low, and when Bute insisted that the batch should remain pure, the whole vintage turned to vinegar. In the autumn of 1900, Bute died. That winter, Andrew went out and pruned the vines the way he had for 25 winters. 3 years later, in 1903, he died. That was Andrew Pettigrew, born on this day in 1833 and buried in Cardiff. His vineyard ran 45 years, from 1875 to 1920, when the vines were finally ripped out. In all that time, only 7 crops ever ripened the whole way through. Today, the spot where Andrew tended his grapevines is a 9-hole golf course. Today's book was The Nature of Decorating by Jenny Rose Ennis. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.